continue that conversation if you want.
All right, well, it's, we can pick up from wherever you'd like, but we need to make some serious progress here today. And I would guess there is no more fooling around. So, Mr. Chairman, you can decide where we're going to begin.
Well, you know what? You got this way in front of us. Let's just start going through page to page. Familiarize ourselves with what we're talking about. But I think one of the biggest things that stands out to me is the Lautt population. That's where we're at.
To be real honest, I never filled mine out.
What's that?
That's the long-term planning thing we're supposed to do. I never filled mine out. Because I feel we've got a lot of things behind us before we can go forward. We've got two roads that have been kicked around and kicked around. Chaseley Road needs attention. Seriously bad.
Well, that's future.
71 needs fixing.
But
And they gotta grind that before they can pave it and fix all the low spots.
I realize that, but Chaseley's been talked about for 2 years. And so I went ahead and did a little research. I talked to a gentleman that's rebuilt roads his whole life. He's on our road department. He's probably got more experience than anybody does. And he said there's a way he knows how to fix those roads. A lot of them don't know what to do. And I feel it would be a good thing if we would address that, because if we don't do something with that road pretty soon, this is what he told me. He said that road's got a lot of material. Granted, there's pieces of the shoulder that are there yet. They can be taken care of. But he said the best scenario there is to get a ripper, because there's a lot of clay in that road and there's gravel on top. Well, if you mix the clay and the gravel and relay it, he said that would make a good road. So I think we need to address some of that, because that's been on the back burner for a long time.
Well, that's basically grinding the road up.
No, I'm talking about Chaseley.
Jeez, that's a gravel road right there.
Oh,
Gravel, right?
to regrind it?
No, he said to get a cat ripper out there or on the back of a maintainer, drop it in there and mix that clay with the gravel on top and relay everything with the maintainer. And the pieces of the shoulder that are not broke up, as you pick them up, they'll fall apart. They can mix it in. If not, they can throw them on a truck, put them somewhere else, and do whatever they need to it.
Well, that was a year ago already, where
They tried grinding it, it was too thick.
no, right? They were gonna grind it when they ground
Yeah,
hamburger, and because hamburger was so thick, they ran out of time, so they never went down there and did it.
okay, well,
So, but without doing that first, you can't ground it.
Wasn't that the deal where there's some big chunks?
Yes, there is. And that's what I talked to him about.
Well, it's more than jumps, isn't it? Like
I realize
it's a
that.
4-foot wide
strip.
strip.
I understand all of that. And I discussed that very strongly with him. He said, as that comes apart, he said, that shoulder's all busted up already anyway. He said, as that comes apart, you can throw that on a dump truck and get it out of there. You don't need to deal with that right there. But you can take the material, it's a wide road and there's a lot of material there. So I'm trying to figure out how to make this work so that we don't have to spend a lot of extra on it. He said, you don't have to haul a bunch of stuff on there. You just have to use what's there.
So what kind of equipment?
Would be either a cat or something behind the maintainer, you know, with the ripper.
Or rip this up about a foot or.
Yeah,
18
foot
inches
two,
deep.
whatever, wherever it works. And what I'm getting at here is maybe you would do a mile or two for an experiment to just actually see how it works. And that way it wouldn't be it wouldn't be tearing the whole road up all at one time. And we can maybe we can learn something about this for other roads. Because that would be way simpler than hauling all this material on.
Less money, way less money.
It doesn't need any more.
What's the length of the road that we're talking about?
I don't even know how many miles it is.
But if you, what is it?
Are we talking from Old 52 to 200? Is it
No,
all stretch?
we're going
Part of
from
it's
52 to the pavement, to where the pavement starts. So
On
Norwich,
Norwich,
there's still pavement.
Heinz's,
I would
that's
say,
6 miles from the corner to Heinz's.
from Old 52 to the pavement.
to the pavement, right, that's a good deal.
So it's,
Yeah,
it's gotta be 8 miles.
8 miles?
Yeah, about 8,
8, 9, whatever.
yeah, 8 miles, a guy could say 8 miles is pretty tough,
Wow, give or take.
yeah.
No,
But I hear what you're saying, and that's where this long range plan is gonna come in, so we can figure out how to afford to do that.
okay. The next question I have is, this voucher. Where does that go? Does that go to everybody? Does that go to the trusted guys that have been doing their job for 30 years and have never made a mistake? Do they have to come for a voucher too? For instance, like something on the maintainer or on a truck at the road
You're
department?
talking the purchase agreement.
Purchase agreement, yep. Is that for everybody all the way through?
It should be for everyone. So it is for planned purchases. Okay, not, I don't know if you were all there, but, Carrie Shindy asked a question. I think it was at our thing.
That was at that picnic, I was there.
If I bust a hose,
Right.
no, that's totally different.
Okay.
Go get your hose and go fiddle around and, but, he didn't complete a deal for extended warranty. So I just did the damn thing for him, okay? But for something like that, yes, that's a PO. And then we keep track of that. And when she orders supplies, yes, that's a PO.
Right, okay.
The gals upstairs that's in continuing ed stuff, yes, that's a PO.
So when did we decide this? Did we vote on this as a
No.
board?
No, it's a way of keeping track of expenses.
Okay, and you have the power to do that when you feel? I'm
Gosh,
just asking.
I feel we need to, because otherwise, what ends up happening here is people just throwing receipts on Renee's desk.
I understand that. I'm just trying to get, because there's a lot of questions.
I'm guessing it keeps this office more
Yeah.
easy to be organized.
And And I'm not asking you to understand what she does, but when she's trying to reconcile P-card receipts,
Yeah.
credit card receipts, there's a charge on here. Well, what's that? You have no idea what it's for.
Or what category it goes in.
And exactly.
And then when we get our bills, it's Wells County Treasurer, we don't know what it's for when we look at the bills. And I don't know why that couldn't be more itemized as saying what it's for.
And let's see here. So this,
And Brian, you can't assume, not to be critical, that a 30-year employee who's never made a mistake, those people don't exist.
Exactly.
so now
Everybody makes a mistake.
you got a record with an invoice that goes with every single thing. And now you don't have to go searching for it and hope the employee will turn stuff into you. So that's what we're trying to accomplish, and it keeps track of things, and you know when you ordered things. And
That's a monthly deal you do right
well,
there.
it's every day. And you
Okay.
just keep track of it. And
Here's the deal,
2026 will be in a binder, 2027 will be in a binder.
it's a good deal and it gives good accountability. The only thing I think where you're coming from is people ask us, when did we decide to do that? And that's, I think, where the question, right?
Right, that is exactly what they're asking. They asked me many questions, and I've had a lot of people talking to me about this, okay? I really did work for it, I've just had a lot of people. Now, the reason I'm bringing these things up, okay, we do not own the company. We are the hired man. We are hired to watch the finances and take care of things. That's our job. And that's what we're supposed to do. We're supposed to represent the people that ask us questions, and that's what I'm doing. And so that's why I'm bringing these things up. And there's a lot of question out there. There's only going to be so much money per year. We know that. What happened in the Bakken yesterday isn't a good thing. Harold Hamm pulled the plug. He's done. I'm not saying the rest of the companies aren't going to stay there and pump. But there's a lot of things we don't understand about oil business. When those wells are put into production, that price stays. Whatever that well starts out at, that stays. And when the wells go in, the first so many days the oil company gets the oil. The reason I know this is I got a good friend that just stopped by right at the end of the year, bought a whole bunch of more parts. And they have been pushing really, really, really hard to get all these wells going out there, up until a certain point. I said, what's the push for in the middle of winter? He said, something's gonna happen, and we don't know what yet, but there's something coming. Well, I think he knew what was going on. And see, they were pushing to get these wells in at a certain price. I don't know if that's when they're drilled or when they start pumping. And so there's a lot of mystery about a lot of things.
Not that much, it's Venezuela is probably the.
I know, that triggered a lot, but I'm just saying is, we as people are gonna have to deal with this in North Dakota.
That's what we're here to do this morning.
Right.
Well, and there's a drainage ditch out here on the Bremen Road. When they rebuilt the highway, it has not been fixed in 6 or 7 years. That should be done before we do a bunch of new planning. I mean, that's old business, and we know where that is. That needs to be done in the highway, in the county road right away. That needs to be done. And all these street signs out in the country that aren't getting fixed for the last 4 years I drive by. When I go here and there, whether I'm fishing or going to visit somebody, these street signs that people tell me aren't up.
Some of that's township,
Well, township, but I mean, it all needs to be addressed.
and there's a lot of bridges.
Planning or whatever we gotta do here.
There's a lot of bridges that are not marked,
And that's another thing.
and they haven't been marked for quite a while. Now, townships, that's their liability. But if it's a county road, this morning when I came in, the big bridge by the river, that was marked real well. But the one a little bit,
By Shales.
no, even not by Shales, you get a little bit west of the river bridge, there's another one, but it's not marked, it's been marked forever. I'm not saying, I'm just pointing out things that are our liabilities, that we have to deal with if something goes wrong. Pray to God nothing does go wrong. But like you said, mistakes happen, things happen.
But in the long range, hopefully this flex funding comes at that road through that, in those areas that have to be addressed.
Attention. You gotta have attention.
And hopefully we find out about that pretty soon.
So if we've been talking about 71 for quite a number of years, and we have been, wouldn't it have made sense to fix one of the worst roads? Because Old 52 has got its issues, yes, and the one north of town's got its issues, but they're pretty serviceable roads yet. So it almost appears to me like whatever's in the southern end of the county doesn't seem to get any attention, and I already know where this is going. I'm bringing these things up because I feel they need to be discussed. So I don't want to be the bad guy, and I know you guys are gonna say you're just a Debbie Downer. No, I'm representing my constituents.
Yeah, here's my take on 71, and we have talked about it a lot. And in order to do it right, it has to be reground and kind of what we did over by Hamlet for a while.
Okay?
And those people did not agree with that, and that turned my vote away from that.
Well, I can tell you why they think that way. They have a tremendous fear that once it's grounded, it'll never be put back.
But
And that's a legitimate concern,
it is, but that's a legitimate fix.
Exactly.
because it's gonna cost $1 million a mile to do that.
And I've also been told, if you grind that up, that's some real funky soil down there. That's why it was paved to start with. Because there's a lot of soup under that highway.
That's why all them soft spots are there. Every low spot, there's soft spots are there.
Anyway,
Use on both sides, so you're gonna have bad.
Bad dirt.
Anyway, here's the deal, yeah, we all agree that that's gotta be done, but if they don't agree to do it correctly, what are we gonna do?
so who are they?
Well, we've had a couple of them in here complaining.
Okay? So that is a county road, correct?
71 is, yes.
It's a paved road, county road.
So with that said, do they have any jurisdiction saying what they want to say if it's a county road?
Don't you think it's right to let people have input?
Oh, I know, I'm asking the question.
Well,
because-
then, what you're saying, then we should just regrind it and hopefully down the road. we can-
All them low spots gotta be done out and put something in them, right, Brian? I mean,
Never gonna.
them low spots, a lot of them low spots
They have to be dug way out.
dug out and I mean, that ain't gonna be a cheap fix even to grind that road. Because all them low spots gotta be dug out and redone if, like he says, there's a slough on both sides of the road.
I'm
It's gonna be
guessing,
more
I'm guessing to
than-
grind that will be at least, $750,000.
Yeah. We're
To just grind
ordinarily, that stretch would be like $200,000 to $300,000. just.
Right.
So what did Bremen cost us with all the thick stuff in it?
That was about $2.6 million.
No, the grinder.
Well,
'Cause that was very, very thick.
that was all part of one proposal.
The one by Bremen, you mean?
Yeah, because they said there was what, up to 20 inches or
Oh,
something.
yeah.
That was a hamburger along the, yeah.
And so that mile and a half cost over $1 million.
Right, but when you're talking about the grinding cost for 71, what was the grinding cost for that one if the pavement was that thick?
Yeah. So it was all part of one proposal. Okay. So
At Hamburg you're talking,
I mean,
right?
hamburger, I'm sorry.
Right, we
But
gotta
I'm
get
just
on
saying,
the same page here.
But, being you mentioned Bremen, look at years ago, some of you guys weren't on here, but when that whole project was done for $2 million.
about 2.5.
And look what it costs now, you can't hardly get 1 mile done.
Right.
so with that said, we have money in the bank, okay? We're making 4% on it at the most. How long are we gonna leave that set when we lose 10 to 20% a year on a project?
That we don't fix.
That money's gonna actually end up costing us 20% in the long run. For instance, if there's a project and you can get it done this year for so much, and if you wait 2 years, it's gonna cost a lot more. Did that interest justify waiting that long? I mean, it's like buying farmland. If you'd have bought farmland 5 years ago, you'd have had it made. Now everything's way up. So I'm just saying, it seems like everything's moving this way. So where's the game?
And I guess I sent a text to Jason before you guys got here, so we got a letter here recently said we'll get no bridge funding. But we've still not heard on Old 52 or.
Okay.
And until we do, it'd be like, the old put your finger in the dike here and put it there. We'll never have the resources to maintain this stuff without an abundance of state support.
I understand that.
So,
And then you can get these projects done for, 20% of the cost to us. I mean, you get the funding through that, that's a big help.
That's a huge help.
So the flex funding is gonna cost us what percentage?
well, you'll have to put up about 20%.
Okay.
If we did it.
Right.
So 20% to your bridge north of town
Yeah.
here is gonna be $400,000.
Yep.
And so that'll happen this summer, at some point. Great, okay, but without that, we could have put $2 million in there, absolutely. We could do that today. But then what do you got left to address anything else that you got going on?
Well, I'm right. There's no money left.
Well, and we've identified a lot of problems, but we need to come up with solutions there.
So on that bridge north of town, I know it's inspected by whatever. Do we have the possibility of getting a second opinion, or is that not the way it is?
As far as the inspection,
As far as if that bridge really needs to go?
well, when the DOT does something, I don't know who you turn to, that sort of trump
So
their card.
there's no, you can't go.
There's no turning back there.
And they hire those guys, they come from out of state, and they come in and inspect bridges, and, when it's done, it's done. And really and truly, there's a whole lot of traffic going across that bridge.
Well,
It
when
should
you,
not be going across that
when
bridge.
you go stand on
Try to
that
tell
bridge
them.
sometimes, and you look underneath it, the simplest thing that I can see is if they would have been riprap in that one spot 20 years ago, there wouldn't be an issue. Because what's happening is that water turns around, it's starting to erode, and that's what they're picking on. But that bridge has got a bridge over the top of a bridge, is what that bridge is.
They made it wider when I was working for the shape back in the 80s. They made it wider.
Yeah.
And it's a bridge kind of, I would say it's kind of patched together.
Right, but you know what? I bet you that bridge could be there for 50 years and then everything go wrong with it, if they could riprap that. And I'm just asking the
But
question.
it's, the DOT is who,
They go with the weight limit on it, so what do you do?
right,
Okay.
that's a
Well,
state
they're just
thing.
covering their tails, what they're doing.
Right, and it's a county bridge.
You gotta play by their rules, I would say.
Right.
And the way you get somewhere, you gotta have fatalities. The deal by John Deere, that big intersection, they were there for the machinery. And there's a road that goes off, one of them goes into my son's driveway, which is fine. But there's a lot of other truck traffic that comes there and goes off of there. You know how dangerous that is, making a left turn on 52, going off on that thing? And I've asked these guys, I said, did you consider that? Another thing up there by Sussex, same thing. When you make a left turn with all that equipment there, the equipment's sitting right there. Nobody thought of that. Common sense would tell you need to have a wider deal there too. They did widen some stuff and you can kind of make things work, but that's a very dangerous intersection. So it just, it makes you wonder how and why. So I'm done.
So anyway, one more thing about that, okay, identified Chaseley Road and 71, which we've talked about a lot. Here a while back, we prioritize things, so do we need to revisit that and reprioritize now or what?
Well, I think Chaseley, that needs to get done. As far as 71, did anybody ever check out what that was? Didn't Brent tell us last time he was here that they're studying grinding the top and putting it right back, grinding it with no gravel and using, I remember he was
To firm it up.
to grind it, and they use the asphalt that's there.
It's ground in with that, yeah.
No gravel. He said just grind the top.
See, some of them, we've been adding 6 inches of gravel when they grind.
I think, yeah, do that, okay.
I don't
No,
know,
you don't have to, because what he was talking about was
I don't know,
grinding it,
I don't remember.
and I think there's a chemical or something they do to it. And there's some roads this has been done.
Well, I brought that up at the last meeting, that road up the golf course, that base one.
Something like that, yep.
And I suggested that might be a solution down there. However, they do that out in the oil country a lot, but the one here is not heavy truck traffic on
Okay.
it. So how does it stand up with that? And that's heavy truck traffic.
Down south, yeah, 71 is heavy.
So, but that's a heck of a lot cheaper than the black guy.
Right. So with the truck traffic there,
But with that said, I think that's something to probably explore other options of doing this.
right. And how much more can we impress upon someone that we need to start watching the speed of these trucks? Here we are spending a lot of money, and trucks keep coming fast. I mean, we're basically shooting ourselves in the foot.
It's gonna be a never-ending battle. As
I'm
many
sure it
trucks
will be.
that are on the road, they're always gonna be.
So do you leave it get good and rough so they have to drive slow? Is that an alternative? I mean,
Well, that's where we're at right now.
On 71, I wouldn't wanna drive that very fast with a truck.
right.
It's horrible.
So do we wait till,
And I've heard guys saying they would rather drive the gravel than drive that highway.
I know, see, there's a mixed bag there. So, but, personally, if that was reground and a good surface like
Yeah,
I think they'd enjoy that.
yeah, I mean, what got done to heat and whatever year that was, I mean, that's a big improvement. Because the main trouble of that road was, rough, but it was getting holes in it and pavement was breaking loose. And now you don't got chunks of pavement on the road and holes to hit. Right. But, I mean, 71 is definitely rough. There has been some holes, but they patched them up and
Every year,
overall, I mean,
year after year, the holes are patched, because there's a different spot, there's a different hole.
overall, it's not terrible, I wouldn't say, but
I don't
Well,
think,
now the frost heaves are coming, so it's bad.
come drive down the gravel road.
They're on everywhere. I know. They're on everywhere. There's a lot of frost heaves that have always been,
That's just,
but they're earlier because it's wetter.
but there's not as many trucks coming from the south anymore, from Kidder County. Because elevator thing changed and they're taking it south. instead of north.
Yeah, we gotta move on here, but Brian, let's sit down with the, road guys once, and just figure out a plan what something like that would cost. We're talking Jason.
Okay.
We beat up 71, that I still say it's gotta be reground.
I'm saying it doesn't.
Well, the day Randy should come to our meeting, he even agreed with
He
that.
agreed with that, yeah.
And he lives right there, right?
And I know where those guys are feeling that hopefully it gets repaid later on, but.
How many years did it take to do Bremen? It took 2 or 3 or 4, didn't it?
Exactly.
I mean, finally was enough money, or whatever kind of money they needed to do it.
And that's the situation we're in here, is we.
And that was a lot cheaper back then, it's more expensive.
Okay. So. Where do we go from here?
Well, 26 budget's done, right? Do we have to follow that now?
Well, yeah, we're looking.
Right, oh, I know.
I know.
But there's only gonna, I mean, there's only gonna be so much money. We know that already. So we gotta figure out how to spend it basically, each year. I mean,
Spend it, save it, make it.
Whatever.
A little bit of everything.
Um, The staffing question, should we start on that? No, you know, I know the comment was that as people retire, we combine offices. There's where we can run problems. What do we do do we cut a lot of service that way or what? You know, let's discuss that.
My biggest question is, I mean, what areas can you actually say cut an employee out of?
I don't think I want to use the term cutting an employee. I think, as they retire,
Not feel that. I mean, the human service zone, we can't do anything like that.
Oh, that's not funded by.
Is it, like, just in our offices, isn't Renee gonna be the first one to retire here come April?
most likely she was retired.
I was told April, whatever, it's
She's
soon.
65 in late March.
Yeah, so, are you gonna move people around? Carrie would be the next one at the end of 26, right? I mean, just in this floor.
that's where we got.
So which offices can possibly share?
When this office ain't busy, that office is busy, and then they can jog. I mean, move a deputy around, or you got that figured out yet? Or how are we gonna do this?
Well, that's for this group to decide. That's why we're here.
Right, well, we
We can
got,
ask Dan, he's ready.
no, but I'm sure he's got thoughts of it already.
Well, we all should.
We all do. Right.
One of the things we have to remember also, we can combine all we want to. But every once in a while, there's gotta be some backup, because someone gets sick for a while, someone has to be gone for a while. So I mean, you can combine all you want to, but you still have to have backup when things go different. And you can either decide to have a plan ahead of time, or you can address it when it happens. And we are very fortunate, we have some very good employees that will help out when there's different areas, very good.
I think we need to start out with the, sounds philosophical, but in any long-term planning, what's our goals? Is our 3-year goals to maintain the services we have in an equal and more efficient manner? Or do we want to downsize that? If you want to keep the services as they are today, then you have to find out ways to efficiently do that. You know, We could downsize this place tomorrow.
Yeah.
We had 50 things, you could cut things.
Right.
But the services would be as good or the same. But I'll give you an example. And here's the thing, I get a lot of suggestions, but I won't use half of them because this camera's behind me. And people will assume I bring something up and they're gonna say, I wanna do this. This is a long-term planning session, and there's a lot of hypothetical things here that we're gonna talk about that we'll never do, but it's a brainstorming session, but that will get misconstrued by someone watching on this camera. So in turn, I can't bring up names, I can't do that. But I'll use one example. If you wanted to decrease services, and this is an example, you just cut the fair budget by half. It's 50 grand right there tomorrow. We just say $50,000. So give them 100. But that's gonna hurt the fair. Now our services aren't as great.
Go to a 2-day.
Well,
You
we're
could.
not going there.
I know, but
I'm
you
just saying, there are a lot of things you could do if push comes to shove. But my philosophy would be that we still want to maintain the services that we have today, because I don't care what the population is today in Wells County. The population demands that we keep the services the same. I feel. True. They don't want less services.
No.
They want more services. If there's 10 people left in the county, they'll still want the same amount of services. So,
And the miles of roads and stuff are gonna be the same whether we have 50 people or 500 people.
right.
Exactly. And there, I mean, how do you start?
When do we buy the next blade?
That's another thing. That ain't even been thought about.
Well,
Let
I
alone
mean,
talked about.
that's inevitable, somewhere down the line.
Yeah.
So what actually are the ages? So in 2 years, we need to buy a blade? Do we put that down as long-term planning? Or in a year, we buy a blade? We gotta start somewhere.
That's probably got a good put in there too.
And if we're gonna we're gonna change the miles that get bladed on a permanent basis to whatever, if we start that project,
Coming back.
it seems like the road department has been our, problem. I don't know if they're being picked on or what the story is. The roads are the roads and the maintainers are there. Is anybody retiring from the maintainer?
You're supposed to
Very call is.
Possible.
Right.
Unless you get a piece of paper.
Right.
So,
If that happens, can we construe everything to operate with one less guy?
well, that's
Brent's.
what Brent mentioned. We would probably have to eliminate some miles that would cover some of
Right.
these
Minimum maintenance
minimum
rules.
maintenance roads. That's another issue.
School buses and mail routes. I guess if we get a map and we can actually see where some of those are,
He's got them out there.
Okay. Do we present that at the township meeting? Give them time to think about it? I mean, this process takes time for people to process this. Not just, well, this is what we're doing. Yeah, that's the easiest way to do it, but if you let them process it a little bit, it might help. So, do we have Brent present that? Do we present that? I mean, that's a start, and that we can start, when is it, end of February, right?
27th.
Huh?
27th of February.
We have to decide what we're going to do.
We're gonna do that at the next meeting. in
Well-
February.
We're talking about cutting back blades, cutting back roads, but we're also talking about redoing Chaseley Road. Well, we're paper thin already with what we're doing. How do we do that without hiring help,
On cutting one blade will be perceived as cutting services.
Right.
Right.
It goes back to my first question.
Right.
What's
How
our
much
goal
do they wanna do?
is to cut services or to try and keep it the same?
So, we talked about mills, can we increase mills? Is that,
how to go to one of the people if it's for the road. That would be a worthy discussion here.
I
That's
agree.
right.
I think that should be our first step. And if we don't get that, then we can go and say, look, we've tried.
Yeah, that's a
Yeah,
good point,
right.
very good point. So, does that need signatures to get on the thing, or could,
No, you can place it on the ballot.
In one of this summer.
You can only do it in June and November, and if it doesn't go, you gotta wait till 2028.
Primary election or general election?
I think that's something
I
that
think that should be put in there, you guys
My vote would be yes.
put that in there.
But then,
Well,
then
now
you
let's
have
be
to,
specific.
you have to decide where you're gonna go. And if you think you're going from 14 right to 28, I got news for
You
you.
got to decide how many.
That's my point.
Okay,
You're gonna have to be modest, and you're gonna have to be able to show what you're going to do when this happens. And that's why we're here. We have to develop a narrative here at some point here.
does five do any good?
It would be $200,000. You tell me if it does any good. What are you trying to do? What's your long-term
Okay,
plan?
so you got, where are we at now?
14.
And we can go to 28.
You can go wherever
We
you
go to 100.
But I just, if you
Okay, I
think
got
they're
you.
going from 14 to 28 without having a specific plan that
It'll
you're gonna
never
sell,
You're
you're
not
not
saying
gonna
you have to talk about cutting the weight, it's not gonna go.
right.
So
Where do we go with this then?
you have to decide what your future looks like. And if you tell me, Dan, don't worry about it, just let it ride. Okay, let's go home and I'll go back over there and we'll try and hire somebody, but you gotta make a decision here at some point.
That's right.
I've done my thing here, I'm trying to tell you what I think. You don't have to buy it, but you have to tell me what you think.
Is 10 out of line? I mean, if you're gonna do 5 and get 200,000, if you're gonna go through the voting process, is 10 enough to do anything or not?
Well, you gotta be more specific. It's good to do something. It's not good enough to do anything.
Right.
So you gotta define what do you think will pass. 30's not gonna pass. 20's not gonna pass. 5 doesn't pay. I'm in the camp that, you try for 10.
I think
10's quite a bit.
You gotta go at least 10, but.
And less than that doesn't.
Unless that don't.
And we could say that we're using it to update road equipment, because we do need to update some road equipment.
Well, it's just operating expenses.
Strictly for the road
Right.
department to
Yeah.
fund the road.
To get them out of the,
Where are we in the, about $600,000 right now yet?
No, it's approaching $1 million again.
It is.
Yeah, it's not there, but your offset between the road and the highway fund, which is 2 separate accounts, I'm sure it's $800,000.
and we haven't pushed snow for, this is the 3rd year we ain't pushed snow.
How much
So
have we saved in 3 years?
where did that money go that we're saving?
Well, that we haven't had to spend, basically.
The bigger issue is that might sound like it's getting less, but we did buy a blade last year. Had we bought a blade, it would have been just as bad as the other 4 or 5
It
years.
would have been, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, but if we just bought a blade and had to push snow, it really could have got one.
Well,
And that winter's coming again.
Wow.
We all know that. We don't just don't
It
know
could
which
be
one.
this weekend, you never know.
we don't save as much money as you think we do.
No,
You're paying employees, you're paying
right.
depreciation, insurance and all that on
About all we
blades.
save is fuel
You,
expense.
you save on fuel, which is something, but, compared to 3 years
Right,
ago,
they all
fuel's
get paid.
cheaper, so it's not it's something, but it's not huge.
So do we try to put
I think we should.
10 mils on that voting?
I would say that's a good plan.
We don't have anything to lose other than
And as far as.
irate RV residents, which I would. And doctors.
As far as the education goes on it, it's just simple, is to try and at least maintain our level services, plus we have equipment upgrade,
You gotta sell it, you gotta sell it to city people. So you don't wanna be too specific as to what this 10 is for,
These 10 mils.
or whatever it recycling.
10 mills, yeah.
Correct. Cause you gotta sell it to the people of Hardin Fest.
If they vote for 10, are they gonna vote for 12?
So comparatively around us, what are other counties at for mills and how do we compare? Not that that makes any difference, we gotta do what we gotta do.
I believe
Do you know what-
Carrington's at 25.
They're up there quite a ways.
What do we give the ambulance for meals?
That's their own.
That's their own thing.
But that mill rate can be as high as 15 now if you're a brand new district like Maddock is. But,
I think we're
Bowden is at like 1.5, Belgium's probably at 5, and Harvey's close to 10.
And Keener County's 15. I mean, I'm just comparing, so we're not in bad shape there.
Well, that's nothing to do with us.
No, right, I understand that. I was just wondering how high they really are. That's what I was wondering.
Well, you could say we want to raise it 10 to try to maintain the services that we already have.
That's a good general statement.
Right.
I mean, and it's a fact. Whatever the case is, there's things that need addressed on all corners. Because the bottom line is this: if we don't go somewhere, somebody's going to get cut. We don't know who yet. But in saying that, we need this for general things, and if this doesn't go, we're going to have to start cutting somewhere.
But in the grand scheme of things, even combining offices, you already save that much money.
So that'll be a combination. If we can get the mill up and do some
That's
cutting.
what we have to decide here. What is our plan? I'm totally agreeing with trying to raise that mill. Even if we get 400,000, we're still only halfway out.
Yeah, so I have taken a picture in 24 of what Foster County, they were at 12 mills and they asked for 25.
So they up to 30.
They asked for 25.
Go up to.
They went up to 25
Oh,
thousand.
they want 225.
Yeah.
So they asked for 13. Okay.
And then they had comparisons of some other counties, like Steele, 25 mills, Griggs County, 25.6, Nelson, 25, Dickey, 30. So,
It's pretty consistent then, at this point, unless they're going up this year too.
and 25 mills would be needed to maintain current services.
And that's it. That's a better general term.
Well, we make it
Don't put it down while we need to buy the blade.
I personally think 10 is too low, guys.
Well, if you compare it to these other counties,
So you thinking 15 or you thinking 12?
Well, I'd say 12, but
then it's up to
15
20.
would help us a lot more.
So if we try for 15 in the spring, we don't get it, we try for 12 in the fall, that's where that's good.
My problem with that is if one fails, if you can do it on less, why didn't you come to me with that first
I
time?
know.
Exactly.
I would be up for 10. I don't know if I would push it over that, because, I mean, in the future, yeah, you're probably gonna have to some point or another, the way stuff goes, but to get
If we go up,
somewhere started.
if we go up 10, it takes us to 24.
I mean, you can look at this, if this long-term planning would have been done 10 years ago and would have started charging the townships for
That's what we
blading,
got in the
how
problem.
many 100,000 would a guy had already ahead?
Yep.
Our,
Some of us weren't here 10 years ago.
no, our people before us put us in the bind, and never charged them for the
Like,
It's really twofold. We have way too many county paved roads, and we didn't charge for blading.
yeah.
You know,
There's just,
Pierce County has 7 miles of paved roads.
and it's
We have 92.
too many maintained gravel roads too, honestly. I mean, there's a lot of
Minimum maintenance roads.
Well, just the county has so many gravel roads, that's.
So
If
if
don't barely get traveled, only when that farmer goes there and comes back.
So if they weren't paved, then you'd have to keep gravel up on them. I mean, there's a balance.
Well, there is, there is some cost savings
Each way.
maintenance wise. But I'm saying in 2024, now that these paved roads are all wearing out, the expenses are much greater.
Gravel is expensive, but it's a heck of a lot cheaper than repaving.
So, you know, that's who we're defining the problem.
What we got about putting 10 mills on
We
there?
need to make a motion that,
You don't do that here, you can do that in February meeting.
Right.
Okay.
Okay, what's our contemplation? Because you don't want to be shooting from the hip, but if you're gonna do this, do know that this will be an educational process. You're not just gonna put it on the ballot and
Whole,
cross your fingers.
yeah, it'll fail miserably.
Guaranteed, there'll be a lot of discussions, however it goes, if it fails in June, there'll be much discussion, and then we have to remind them, we can go back in November and do it so we actually can get somewhere, and that might be the process. People are gonna have to yap at this at the coffee shop, and you know how the game goes.
but our one advantage for education is we have that township meeting
Right.
coming up, which is,
And are we gonna go around to the townships like they did before? We talked about that.
you know, we talked about it.
I mean,
That isn't the nut you got to crack. Townships and rural people will be for this. It's the city of Pheasant, Bowden, and Harvey that you gotta convince. Like it or not,
I don't think Boone would be that hard to convince because they got roads going in and out of there, they got gravel road going north and all that stuff. They got,
Pheasant and Harvey.
Most of our population does it.
How much, the people there, how much do I go driving roads?
Yeah.
Thing.
Right.
But we are not gonna know unless we try.
exactly.
Oh, yeah, right, to segue what Dan is saying, that's where the education's gonna have to come, or go to predominantly our city people, because most township, county, rural people will like to think in favor.
Is there any backlash from what has happened, have been done with the zoning and stuff, or did that stir a lot of crap up to where people are just gonna not wanna vote or say anything, because there's backlash from that, or is the zoning thing all pretty well taken care of?
What's zoning?
I don't.
Well, I
I
mean,
don't
there
follow
was a
you.
lot of discussion with the wind farms and the different stuff, the zoning had a lot of meetings, and as far as, when there was a lot of meetings, always everybody's, checking things out, and checking things over. Is there any backlash from the zoning meetings or not?
I don't think so.
No, that's not related to taxation.
Well, it's related to revenue. Because it doesn't sound like, from what I'm hearing, it doesn't sound like wind is gonna make it. They really push them to kibosh to that nationwide. I don't know how that's gonna go yet. Doesn't sound good.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, our rural counties are here, we have very limited opportunities, and that's one of them.
So are the buckets filling up are we gonna actually get something this year, Dan, or is that all gonna shut down?
That's way too early.
Hard to say.
But there is something coming from previous.
Well, there will be, but as you recall, a third of that was taken away, but a greater certainty that the bucket would fill.
Okay,
That was also with oil prices that were higher than they are today.
That could go long.
That could go south too.
Yeah. It's the downside of long-term planning, things like that you can't predict. You're not gonna know what the price of oil is a year from now. But if it stays where it is, not only will you have less production
Oh, yeah.
as time goes on, because, you know,
And it's all less money.
Trump's big campaign speech about drilling, he ain't smart enough to realize that it's not profitable to drill anywhere out there less than $50 a barrel.
It's a break even, he said.
So, and it's below that today, so.
Can you imagine the financial wrecks and the walking that people that have been doing whatever?
That's you, right there.
Okay,
Got a lot of buckets that gotta get filled.
okay.
Well, wait a minute, now it's early though, yet, we're just starting by AM, so.
August 1st, so you have just about 6 months.
6
I'm 24, but that's a
Yeah, you're
long ways to go.
Yeah, there's a
Right.
long ways
Okay, so is it consensus that next meeting we talk about raising that mills?
Yeah.
Okay, think about that till the meeting, and we have to do it at that time. Okay, we've identified a lot of needs here. We haven't even begun to work on how we're gonna solve this. Dan, I know you put a lot of time in this, why don't you give us an overview of what you got?
Well, I'm gonna be on page 5.
The staffing page.
Yep. And again, you wanna tell me to go back, sit down, shut up, it's not mine. I'm in the wrong lane.
We want your opinion.
Yeah.
You're going to have to find some staffing efficiencies. You have 2 things here in terms of your big expenses. Human resources and equipment, capital expenses, whether it's equipment or taking care of buildings, whatever the case is, okay? How are you going to do that with the new caps that are in place? Okay, you got a way around that with your road department. You can go to vote with people, but if they tell you no, what's plan B? Okay, and all I'm telling you is you don't have one. Okay, you can pin your hopes on that they'll do that, but it's still not going to address part of your issue. All right, and if you have a crystal ball and can tell me those caps are gonna be removed and life can go back to normal, even if that were the case, that 4% decline that you're gonna feel from the ag sector here is gonna do this to your mill rate. That comes down, the mills go up, and you're gonna collide with your 60 cap. Sooner, not later. You know, a couple of years ago, we were way under that. And you could have moved anywhere you wanted in there. Can't do that anymore. You're only able to grow at 3%, and now when they're taking valuation away from you, it's a catch-22. Okay, you're not, and I sat with the staff last Thursday, we're not out of money. Okay, but how long are you gonna wait to address the elephant in the room?
Well, you brought it up, so I'm not so going to. Valuations. Commercial and you're going, Janet, I think you take a half an hour and figure this out unless you have that in the top of your head. Commercial and residential valuations in Wells County, because she gets that based on state every year, is below 90. It has to be between 90 and 100. Okay? Below 90, so she needs to raise it. She typically will do that. If she raises it drastically, she'll come to us. But I'm in the camp that everything should be at 99 every year, because that keeps our valuation as high as it did.
Yeah.
I was the one who told her last year, I was on the camera, when Agland was 97, I said, raise it to 99. She did that. You guys did, nobody knew about that. So we gained last year. Well, the downside of that, because we're up against that 100, we have to lower it this year. We don't have a cushion. Had she not raised it last year, we wouldn't have to lower it this year. But we gained that 1 year evaluation at least. So that helped that, now it's half business, and now it's gotta go back. But we have the right or ability to raise commercial and residential up to 90, whatever you want. I don't know how much that will help us because ag.
69% of your evaluation is ag.
So, okay, so now you're trying to raise the 31% to make up for the 69%. I don't think you could do that.
Thinks twice as much.
It might have.
And I can't vouch for anybody. Obviously, the two of you are in the same boat as I am in the city of Harvey. My valuation's gone up considerably.
Yeah.
I would say my valuation since I bought the place in 2007, it hasn't quite tripled, but it's down close to that.
And if you try to raise that, it's gonna be a hell of an outcry.
Well, you have to.
We need to. It will go up. I think Janet just sent me that text message about a week ago. It's like 88.5%. So it needs, you go to 91,
Yeah.
and that'll be minuscule. But that's there too with some state. I don't know how to come up with that. Sales, and the state comes up with that. So they're that. And she said the other thing was residential farm assessments was really low, and that you needed to update that. But that's, now you're dealing with a minuscule amount of, how many farmsteads are there? Or rural residential, that are taxed.
And in another 5 minutes, and I'm being facetious of course, but how long until that change in valuation eats away some, all, or most of that 1,600?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so pretty soon, people are gonna say, what I get for that?
Right.
And the answer
Yeah,
is
it's gone.
I'm right back where I was, and eventually you were gonna get there. But to get there in 4 or 5 years as opposed to 18, 20 is a totally different thing. So it's a challenge. But this is why you put your name on the ballot.
That's right.
Is to solve issues like this.
Well, if we're on page 5, the auditor's got 2, that'll go to 1 eventually.
Well, that's a discussion we need.
And I'm just gonna, I'll be as clear as upfront as possible, and I'll look right into the camera and say this.
Yeah, what's crazy to
I
me.
personally am not taking the hit for Wells County all by myself. Okay?
That's right.
I've got all kinds of people looking at me going, you're really gonna do that? You're really gonna do that? I am not doing this on my own. I'm not bailing out the road department. I'm not bailing out the sheriff's department. I'm not bailing out Wells County by myself. And that's why I can't make these decisions. This is your guys' job.
But looking down that line, when we get to the extension agent, would that be 1?
Yes.
Okay. The human services zone has got 16, have we got any jurisdiction on that?
No,
That's a cut and dry deal, right?
That's their deal. And
Recorder can go to 1. Then we got the road department, is this present at 9, that could get moved to 8.
Well, wait a minute, now the recorder, what if she's sick? You close the place?
Somebody else handles the phone.
And I'd like to see someone be able to at least understand the office.
Right. Answer a phone.
Okay?
Yeah.
So I'll just come right out and say it, and I said it amongst the staff last week, Thursday, and they're probably still gnashing their teeth at me, but this office is one of them, treasurer's office is one of them, recorder's office is one of them, and the extension office is one of them. That one still is largely funded by the state, the recorder's office, okay? So as long as they're gonna pay a portion of the bill, and then, they don't like to pay all of it, they pay about half of it. Okay, as long as they're gonna do that, I guess that's their deal. Okay, social services,